Hey, come closer. I need to. I need to talk about something that happened. Something that ripped the floor out from under me, shattered the reflection I saw in the mirror, and made me question every single moment, every smile, every "I love you" for the past 5 years. You think you know someone, right? Especially the person you share your bed with, your life, your dreams. My wife, Chloe. God, even saying her name now feels different. Tainted. Like a beautiful vase that you suddenly realize has a hairline crack running right through it, ready to splinter into a million pieces at the slightest touch. We were good. No, we were great. That couple everyone envied. Finishing each other's sentences, inside jokes that made no sense to anyone else, planning our future, the house, the kids, growing old and wrinkly together on some porch somewhere. It was picture perfect. Or maybe it was just a picture. A carefully curated image I was too busy admiring to see the rot setting in behind the frame. Lately, things had felt a little off. Nothing I could put my finger on, you know? Just a subtle shift in the atmosphere. Like the pressure changing before a storm. Chloe seemed more tired, more stressed. Work's just crazy right now, babe, she'd say, flashing a smile that didn't quite reach her usually sparkling eyes. She became more attached to her phone than usual. Before, she'd leave it lying around anywhere. Now, it was always in her pocket, or face down on the nightstand, or clutched in her hand. She started taking calls in the other room more often, closing the door, her voice dropping to a murmur. When I'd ask who it was, just Mom. Ugh, work again. Vague. Always vague. And maybe I should have pressed harder. Maybe I should have trusted that not tightening in my gut. But I didn't. I'm Alex, the trusting husband. The guy who believed in giving space and not being that jealous, controlling partner. I told myself I was imagining things, letting stupid insecurities creep in. I pushed the doubts down, painted over the cracks because facing them felt like admitting defeat. Admitting that the perfect picture might be a lie. Oh, what a fool I was. A blind, trusting fool. It happened on a Tuesday. Just a regular Tuesday. We'd ordered takeout, watched some dumb show on Netflix. Chloe seemed relaxed, maybe a little too relaxed. Looking back, laughing a bit too loudly. She went upstairs to take a shower, getting ready for bed. I was tidying up the living room, clearing away the empty containers. That's when I saw it. Her phone, lying on the armrest of the couch, screen dark. She'd forgotten it. A rare occurrence these days. My own phone was dead. I'd forgotten to charge it, typical me. I just needed to check the time, see how late it was getting. Simple as that. No ulterior motives, I swear. At least, not consciously. Maybe subconsciously, that seed of doubt was there, whispering. I picked up her phone. It felt heavy, significant. I pressed the side button. The lock screen lit up, a picture of us, smiling on vacation last summer. A wave of guilt washed over me. What was I doing? This was Chloe's private space. But I just needed the time. And then, maybe check if my charger was compatible with hers? Yeah, that was it. A practical reason. I swiped up. Face ID. It scanned my face, obviously didn't recognize me. Failed. Then the passcode screen appeared. 6 dots. I hesitated. I knew her old passcode, our anniversary. But I had a feeling she might have changed it recently, given her newfound protectiveness. Still, on autopilot, my fingers tapped in the familiar digits. 1-0-1-7. Our wedding date. Invalid passcode. Okay. Weird. Why change that? My heart started beating a little faster. Then I remembered her mentioning something about her nephew always guessing her codes, so she picked something random. What would be random to Chloe? Maybe her birthday? It felt invasive, guessing like this. But the phone was already in my hand, the screen glowing expectantly. I punched in her birth month and day. 0-8-1-2. Click. It unlocked. My breath hitched. It actually unlocked. Why her birthday? Why something so guessable if she was trying to be secure? Unless the security wasn't aimed at her nephew, but at me? The thought sent a chill down my spine. But I shook it off. Okay, just check the time. 10:47 p.m. Right. Now, put it down. Put it back exactly where you found it, Alex. Walk away. But my thumb, it hovered over the photo gallery icon. That little colorful windmill. It seemed to pulse, to call to me. Just a quick look? See if she took any funny pictures of the dog today? That little voice, the one I'd been suppressing, was back, louder this time. What if there's something else? What if those late nights weren't about work? What if those hush calls weren't to her mom? It felt wrong, disgusting, even violating her trust. But the not knowing, the suspicion that had been gnawing at me for weeks, it was suddenly unbearable. My thumb tapped the icon before my brain could fully process the decision. The gallery opened. Most recent photos first. Normal stuff initially. Pictures of our dog, a screenshot of a recipe, a selfie she took making a funny face. Relief started to flood through me. See? Nothing. You're paranoid, Alex. You almost blew this tiny transgression into a full-blown marital crisis in your head. I scrolled down a little further, almost ready to close the app, my guilt now mixing with self-reproach. And then I saw it. My scrolling stopped dead. My blood turned to ice water. My stomach lurched violently, and for a second, I thought I was going to throw up right there on the rug. It was unbelievable. That's the only word. King believable. It wasn't just a photo, it was a scene ripped from my worst nightmare. It was Chloe. But not my Chloe. Not the woman I knew. She was in a hotel room. I could tell by the generic art on the wall, the impersonal look of the bedding. And she wasn't alone. There was a man. His face wasn't fully visible, turned slightly away from the camera, but I could see the side of his profile, his arm wrapped tightly around Chloe's bare shoulders. Bare shoulders. She was wearing lingerie. Black lace. Lingerie I had bought her for our anniversary last year. Lingerie she'd told me felt a bit much, that she'd probably never wear. But there she was, wearing it. Not for me. For him. Her head was tilted back, eyes closed, a look of ecstasy, pure bliss, etched onto her features. It wasn't just intimate, it was raw, explicit. A betrayal captured in a single, sickening frame. I couldn't breathe. The air was sucked out of my lungs. My hands started shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. Who was he? The angle was just off. I couldn't quite place him, but there was something vaguely familiar about the line of his jaw, the dark hair. My mind frantically flipped through images, colleagues, friends, acquaintances. No, it couldn't be. It was too horrible to contemplate. But the photo didn't lie. The date stamp in the corner seared itself into my brain. Last Thursday, the night she'd supposedly worked late, coming home exhausted, barely able to talk. Meeting ran super late, brutal, she'd mumbled before collapsing into bed. A lie. It was all a calculated, devastating lie. I slammed the phone shut, clicking the lock button, the screen going dark like a curtain falling on the wreckage of my life. I stumbled back, collapsing onto the other end of the couch, the phone clattering to the floor beside me. I didn't pick it up. I couldn't touch it again. It felt contaminated. Poisonous. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a wild animal trying to escape. Bile rose in my throat. This wasn't real. This couldn't be happening. It had to be a mistake. A deepfake? Some bizarre misunderstanding? But the look on her face, the specific lingerie, the date stamp. No. It was real. Horrifically, undeniably real. Every instance of her recent odd behavior flashed through my mind. No longer subtle shifts, but giant, flashing red warning signs. The phone secrecy. The closed-door calls. The vague excuses. The slight withdrawal from intimacy. It wasn't work stress. It wasn't tiredness. It was this. It was him. How long? How long had this been going on? Was last Thursday the first time? Or just the first time she was careless enough, or brazen enough, to document it? The questions pounded in my head, relentless, merciless. I heard the shower turn off upstairs. Footsteps on the landing. Panic seized me. I scrambled to pick up the phone, my fingers clumsy, fumbling. I wiped the screen frantically on my shirt, trying to erase my fingerprints, my presence, my knowledge. I placed it back on the armrest, exactly where I'd found it, trying to arrange it at the same angle. My breath came in short, sharp gasps. I smoothed my clothes, ran a hand through my hair, trying to compose myself, trying to erase the horror from my face. But how do you erase something like that? How do you unsee the image that just burned itself onto your soul? Chloe came downstairs, wrapped in her fluffy bathrobe, toweling her wet hair, humming softly. Oblivious. Utterly, terrifyingly oblivious. She smiled at me. Hey, you okay? You look a little pale. Pale? I felt like a ghost. Like my insides had been scooped out, leaving nothing but a hollow shell. Yeah, I managed, my voice sounding strained, distant, even to my own ears. Yeah, just tired. Long day. She walked over, leaned down, and kissed my forehead. Her lips felt cold against my skin. Or maybe it was just me. Maybe the warmth had been leached out of me forever. "Per baby," she murmured. "Come on up to bed." Bed. Our bed. The thought made me physically ill. Sleeping next to her tonight, knowing what I knew, seeing that image every time I closed my eyes, it felt impossible. But what choice did I have? Confront her now? Explode? Accuse her based on a photo I never should have seen? No, not yet. I needed to think. I needed to breathe. I needed to figure out what the hell I was going to do. I followed her upstairs, feeling like I was walking in someone else's life, a spectator to my own impending doom. The woman I loved, the life I thought I had, was it all an elaborate performance? And how do you confront someone when the evidence you hold is a secret you were never supposed to uncover? The night stretched before me, an endless expanse of darkness, filled only with the horrifying glow of that single, unbelievable photograph. The night was pure agony. Lying there, next to Chloe in the darkness, her breathing soft, and even beside me while my own heart felt like it was trying to beat its way out of my chest. Every time I closed my eyes, the image flashed behind my eyelids, the hotel room, the black lace, the look on her face, the shadow of the man whose identity gnawed at me. Sleep was impossible. I feigned it, lying perfectly still, timing my breaths, terrified that any twitch, any sigh, would betray the turmoil raging inside me. When morning finally broke, casting long, gray shadows across the room, I felt utterly wrecked, physically and emotionally drained, yet wired with a nervous energy that made my skin crawl. The charade had to begin. Getting ready for work was a masterclass in dissociation. I moved through the motions, showering, dressing, making coffee, like an automaton. Chloe chattered away, oblivious, talking about her plans for the day, some upcoming project at work. Her normality was jarring, almost offensive. How could she act like this? How could she look me in the eye, smile, kiss me goodbye at the door, knowing what she'd done? Or did she compartmentalize that well? Did that photo, that night, mean so little to her that she could just switch it off? The thought was somehow even more insulting than the infidelity itself. Each interaction was torture. Her casual touch on my arm sent shivers of revulsion down my spine. Her laughter sounded hollow and grating. I felt like I was watching her through thick glass, seeing her but unable to truly connect, separated by the chasm of her betrayal. All day at work, I was useless. Staring blankly at my computer screen, the photo replaying in my mind on an endless loop. Who was he? The question consumed me. The vague familiarity of his profile in the photo haunted me. Was it someone I knew? Someone I worked with? Someone I considered a friend? The possibilities made me sick. I started scanning faces in my memory, comparing jawlines, hairlines. It was maddening. The uncertainty was almost as bad as the certainty of the betrayal. I needed to know. I had to know. That evening, the tension was unbearable. I couldn't keep pretending. I started probing, carefully, trying to sound casual. "Hey, how did that late meeting actually go last Thursday? Sounds like it was rough." I watched her face closely for any flicker, any sign of deception. She shrugged, sipping her wine. "Oh, just endless budget discussions. Mind-numbing stuff. Honestly, I barely remember it. I was so tired." She seemed completely unfazed. Too unfazed? Or was I just projecting my own knowledge onto her? Anyone interesting there? Or just the usual suspects? I pressed, trying to keep my tone light. "No, just the finance guys mostly. Paul, David." Sandra from marketing popped in for a bit. "Why?" She looked at me then, a slight furrow in her brow. "You're asking a lot of questions about a boring work meeting, Alex." My heart hammered. Was she suspicious? Or just finding my questions odd? "No reason," I said quickly, forcing a laugh. "Just making conversation." Sounded like a long night. I backed off, realizing I was being too obvious. Pushing too hard might spook her, make her more careful. But her answer, "Paul? David?" Neither of them matched the vague profile in the photo. Was she lying even about who was at the non-existent meeting? Or was the man in the photo someone else entirely, unconnected to her work alibi? The need for more information became an obsession. That night, after she fell asleep, or pretended to, was she watching me now, too? I slipped out of bed. My hands trembled as I crept downstairs. Her phone was on the kitchen counter, charging. My stomach twisted with guilt and a desperate, ugly resolve. I had to look again. I needed confirmation. I needed to see if there were messages, other photos, anything that could shed light on this nightmare. I picked up the phone, my fingers sticky with sweat. I entered her birthday passcode, 0-8-1-2. Invalid passcode. My blood ran cold. She had changed it. Sometime between me accidentally guessing it and now, she had changed it. Why? Did she somehow know I'd been in it? Did she see the app usage logs? Or was it just a coincidence, a sudden surge of security consciousness? The uncertainty was agonizing. It felt like the walls were closing in. She knew, or she suspected. The power dynamic I thought I held, the secret knowledge, felt suddenly fragile, maybe even reversed. Was I the one being watched now? This setback only fueled my desperation. If I couldn't get into her phone, I had to find another way. The next day, feigning illness to work from home, I did something I'm not proud of. Something that crossed a line I never thought I'd cross. I went into our shared home office and turned on her laptop. We generally respected each other's digital privacy, but desperation makes you do things you regret. I told myself it was justified. She had betrayed me. I deserved answers. Her laptop wasn't password protected, a small mercy, or perhaps another sign of her previous carelessness. I opened her email first. Nothing immediately incriminating in the inbox. Lots of work stuff, junk mail, newsletters. Then I checked the trash, the sent items. Still nothing obvious. My hope began to dwindle, replaced by frustration. Was I wrong? Was the photo some bizarre anomaly? Then I tried her personal email account, the one linked to her social media. It automatically logged in. My heart pounded as I scrolled through the inbox. And then I saw it. A thread with a subject line that simply read, Weekend. The sender wasn't a name I recognized, just an initial, M. I clicked it open, my breath held tight in my chest. The emails were brief, cryptic, but undeniably intimate. Plans being made. References to secret meetings. Talk of close calls and needing to be more careful. My eyes scanned frantically, looking for clues, for names, for locations. And then, in an older message from a few weeks back, a chilling sentence. Can't wait to see you, Chloe. Don't worry about Alex. He doesn't suspect a thing. Just like old times. Signed, M. M. Who the hell was M? And old times? This wasn't new. This wasn't a recent fling. This suggested history. A past I knew nothing about. My mind raced. Who did we know whose name started with M? Mark? Her colleague? No, married. Seemed unlikely. Michael? My cousin? Impossible, grotesque. Matt? My best friend? No, it couldn't be. Matt? He was practically my brother. He was over at our house all the time. He and Chloe were friendly, sure, but no. The thought was too vile, too treacherous. Yet, the M resonated with a sickening familiarity. Driven by a horrible, dawning dread, I opened her Facebook profile, linked from the email. Her friends list. I scrolled down, my eyes scanning the M names. Mark. Michael. Max. And then, Matt. My finger hovered over his profile. His picture smiled back at me, the guy who stood beside me at my wedding. The guy I played poker with every month. The guy I trusted implicitly. Could it be him? Could my best friend betray me like this? It felt like a physical blow. I clicked on his profile, then on his photos. Scrolling back, looking for. I didn't even know what. And then I saw it. A group photo from a party last year. Matt was standing next to Chloe. His arm was casually around her waist, but there was something in the way he looked at her, a fleeting expression I'd missed at the time, that now seemed charged with hidden meaning. And on his wrist, he was wearing a distinctive leather bracelet. A bracelet I recognized instantly, because it was identical to the one faintly visible on the wrist of the man holding Chloe in that goddamn hotel photo. The world tilted. The air rushed out of my lungs. It was him, Matt, my best friend, sleeping with my wife. The betrayal wasn't just double, it was squared, cubed, magnified to an unbearable intensity. The photo wasn't just about Chloe's infidelity, it was about the complete and utter destruction of the two most important relationships in my life. The lies weren't just between husband and wife, they were woven into the very fabric of my closest friendship. Old times. Had this been going on even before we got married? Was our entire relationship built on a foundation of deceit involving the person I trusted most in the world besides her? I felt a surge of white-hot rage unlike anything I'd ever experienced. It wasn't just heartbreak anymore. It was fury. Pure, unadulterated fury at both of them. The calculated deception, the years of lies, the smiles to my face while they stabbed me in the back. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something. I wanted to drive over to Matt's house and beat the living hell out of him. I wanted to confront Chloe, to throw the evidence in her face, to watch her world crumble just like mine had. The laptop screen glowed, illuminating the horrific truth. Matt. The bracelet. The emails. The photo. It all clicked together into a sickening mosaic of betrayal. I had the proof now. Undeniable, soul-crushing proof. The question was no longer if I should confront them, but how and when. The knowledge burned inside me, a toxic secret waiting to explode. I saved screenshots of the emails, the photo from Matt's profile showing the bracelet. Ammunition. Cold, hard evidence. The game had changed. This wasn't just about uncovering a secret anymore. This was about preparing for war. I closed the laptop, my mind racing, plotting. The confrontation was coming, and it wasn't going to be quiet or controlled. It was going to be explosive. They thought they were clever, hiding in plain sight. They had no idea the storm that was about to break. I stood up, a cold, hard resolve solidifying within me. The pain was still there, a gaping wound, but now it was mixed with something else, a burning desire for reckoning. Okay, Chloe, I whispered into the empty room, the name tasting like ash. Okay, Matt, let's see how you talk your way out of this. The fuse was lit. Knowing the full, horrifying scope of the betrayal, not just my wife, but my best friend, entangled in a web of lies that potentially stretched back years, changed everything. The hurt morphed into a cold, razor-sharp fury. There would be no quiet conversation, no tearful confessions, no possibility of reconciliation. Trust hadn't just been broken, it had been systematically dismantled and mocked by the two people I thought had my back. This required more than just a confrontation, it required an implosion. I wanted them both there. I wanted them to face me, and each other, with the sickening truth laid bare between them. I spent the next 24 hours meticulously planning. It felt like preparing for battle. I needed the right time, the right place. Our home seemed grimly appropriate, the stage where so much of their deception had likely played out right under my nose. I waited until Friday evening. Matt often came over on Fridays for drinks, a tradition we'd had for years. The irony was nauseating, but it provided the perfect opportunity. I texted him earlier in the day, keeping it casual. Hey man, beers tonight? Usual time. His reply came back quickly. Absolutely. See you around 7. Oblivious. Completely, smugly oblivious. Chloe came home from work, seemingly relaxed, the weekend stretching ahead. She suggested ordering pizza, opening a bottle of wine. The domestic charade felt more grotesque than ever. I played along, my insides churning, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. Every casual touch from her felt like fire, every smile a calculated lie. I wondered if Matt had told her he was coming over, or if they maintained their secrecy even in these mundane plans. The complexity of their deception was staggering. 7 o'clock rolled around. The doorbell rang. My stomach clenched. Chloe went to answer it, calling out, "Must be Matt," with a bright, practiced cheerfulness that made me want to vomit. I stood in the living room, waiting, my hands clenched into fists at my sides. Matt walked in, grinning, holding a six-pack. "Hey, buddy." "Hey, Chloe," he said, his voice full of false bonhomie. He clapped me on the shoulder, a gesture that now felt like a physical assault. Chloe smiled warmly at him, a shared glance passing between them that I probably would have missed before, but now it screamed intimacy, conspiracy. The air crackled with unspoken tension, but only I seemed to feel it. "Grab a seat, man," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "Chloe, can you grab some glasses?" She nodded and headed to the kitchen. This was it. Phase 1. I needed a moment alone with Matt. He plopped down on the couch, popping open a beer. "So, how's the week been?" he asked casually. I didn't sit. I stood facing him, letting the silence stretch for a beat too long. He looked up, his smile faltering slightly. "Everything okay, Alex?" "No, Matt," I said, my voice low and cold. "Nothing is okay." I saw confusion, then a flicker of apprehension in his eyes. "I know," I continued, letting the words hang heavy in the air. "I know about you and Chloe." The color drained from his face. He froze, the beer bottle halfway to his lips. "What? Alex, what are you talking about? That's crazy." He tried to bluster, to laugh it off, but his eyes darted nervously towards the kitchen, betraying his panic. "Is it, Matt?" I took my phone out of my pocket. "Is this crazy?" I pulled up the screenshot of the email thread. The one signed M. The one talking about deceiving me, about old times. I held the phone in front of his face. He flinched, recoiling as if struck. His denial crumbled instantly, replaced by sheer, unadulterated panic. "Alex, man, I can explain," he stammered, his voice cracking. "It's not. It's complicated." "Complicated?" My voice rose, the fury finally bubbling to the surface. You sleeping with my wife, my best friend, behind my back, possibly for years, that's complicated? Or is it just betrayal, plain and simple? Chloe walked back in then, holding 3 glasses, a questioning look on her face. What's going on? She asked, sensing the electric tension in the room. She looked from my furious face to Matt's terrified one. Why don't you tell her, Matt? I snarled, turning my glare on him. Tell her I know. Tell her the game is up. Chloe dropped the glasses. They shattered on the hardwood floor, the sound echoing the shattering of our lives. No, she whispered, her eyes wide with horror, fixed on me. Know what? He knows, Matt choked out, unable to look at either of us. Chloe stared at me, her face crumpling. The facade was gone. There was no denial, no attempt at justification. Just raw, unveiled guilt and fear. Alex, how? Does it matter how? I shot back, the pain and anger warring within me. Your phone, Chloe. A picture. An unbelievable picture from your little getaway last Thursday. The black lace lingerie I bought you? Nice touch. Really thoughtful. Her face went ashen. And then the emails, Matt. The bracelet. The old times. How far back does this go? Huh? Before the wedding. Silence. Neither of them spoke. They couldn't even look at each other. The truth hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Seeing them together, stripped of their lies, cornered by the evidence, brought a sick, twisted sense of satisfaction, but it couldn't numb the gaping wound they had inflicted. Get out, I said, my voice shaking with rage. Both of you. Now. Alex, please, Chloe sobbed, taking a step towards me. Let me explain. It wasn't like that. Like what? I yelled, finally losing control. Wasn't like you betraying me with him? Wasn't like you lying to my face every single day? Wasn't like him. I pointed a trembling finger at Matt, shaking my hand, drinking my beer, pretending to be my friend while sleeping with my wife? Get out, before I do something we all regret. Matt scrambled up, avoiding my eyes, practically tripping over his own feet in his haste to get away. He didn't say a word, just grabbed his keys and bolted out the door, slamming it behind him. Coward. Chloe remained, tears streaming down her face. Alex, I am so sorry. You have to believe me. I never wanted to hurt you. You just wanted to have your cake and eat it too, is that it? I asked bitterly. You wanted the safety of our marriage and the thrill of whatever the hell that was? I gestured vaguely towards the door Matt had just fled through. Sorry doesn't cut it, Chloe. Not even close. What you two did, it's unforgivable. But there's more, she whispered, looking desperate. It started years ago, before we were even serious, Matt and I. It was a mistake then. We stopped. But then, things got complicated. He knew something about my family, something I didn't want getting out. He used it. A new layer? Blackmail? It felt like too little, too late. A desperate attempt to salvage something, to mitigate the betrayal. Whether it was true or not, it didn't change the fundamental facts. She had lied. She had cheated. With him. And the photo? I asked coldly. Was that part of the blackmail too? Or was that just for fun? She flinched. No, that was a moment of weakness. A huge mistake. A mistake. I repeated, the word tasting like acid. That wasn't a mistake, Chloe. That was a choice. You chose him. You chose the lies. Over and over again. And now you have to live with that choice. But you won't be living with it here. I walked towards the door, opening it wide. Your things will be packed. I'll arrange for them to be sent wherever you end up. Now, please. Leave. She looked at me, her eyes pleading, searching for any sign of forgiveness, any crack in my resolve. But there was none left. The love I had felt for her, the life I had envisioned, had been burned away by the fire of her betrayal, revealed in that single, devastating photo. She saw the finality in my eyes. With a choked sob, she turned and walked out, leaving me alone in the wreckage, the shattered glass on the floor reflecting the fragments of my former life. I closed the door, the click echoing in the sudden, deafening silence. The confrontation was over. The implosion complete. There was no sense of victory, no satisfying revenge. Just a vast, hollow emptiness. The picture on the phone had been the catalyst, the first thread I pulled that unraveled everything. It led me down a rabbit hole of deceit that destroyed my marriage and my closest friendship. Rebuilding would be a long, painful process. But as I stood there, amidst the ruins, I felt a strange sense of clarity. Walking away from the lies, however painful, was the only way to start healing. The truth, no matter how ugly, was out. And somehow, in the devastating aftermath, that felt like the first step towards finding myself again, towards building a future free from the shadows of their deception. And that brings us to the end of today's story. Thank you so much for tuning in. I truly hope to see you again for more fascinating tales ahead. If you enjoyed it, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our next adventure. See you soon.